Hello, today we're going to go over bracketing. In doing so, I'm using the Digital SLR Simulator, which is available for free on camerasim.com. I recommend following with me with this app and using it also to practice your other camera controls. So bracketing is when we create three images. We're going to create one image which our light meter thinks is the correct exposure, and then we're going to take another exposure where it's going to be darker than it should be, and one that's going to be brighter than it should be. In doing so, just make sure that we have a properly exposed photograph. Now, this is very useful when we're photographing something that is rare or a one-time chance to be somewhere to photograph it. Say we're at the Grand Canyon and we're photographing the sunset. We'd want to bracket our pictures and make sure we have a good exposed shot. It's also very useful when we're photographing hard to meter scenes. Say something's backlit, or if it's very bright sun outside, or for photographing at night or in the snow. So what we're going to do is set our camera on manual mode, and we're going to take one picture where the needle is in the middle. Now make sure that you're not shooting at a very large or very small aperture, because you want to be able to change your aperture settings. You want to be able to close the aperture one stop and then open it one stop. And you're also in your exercise, you're going to do the same thing with the shutter speed. So when we bracket, we're going to keep one of the settings the same and change the other. So the first thing I would do is just take one picture and look at it, and then you're going to take another picture, and for this instance I'm going to go ahead and use the aperture setting, and I'm going to overexpose this shot one stop. Okay, and then I'm going to take another picture. So you'll notice now where my picture is a little bit overexposed, especially in her face in the background. And then I'm going to take another picture using my aperture settings again, and I'm going to underexpose this one stop. So now you'll notice that everything's underexposed. Now we can also do the same thing with the shutter speed. So the shutter speed, let's do the same thing. If I want to overexpose it, I'm going to use a longer shutter. So I'm going to go from 125 to 60. I'm going to take a picture. You notice again that it's going to be overexposed. And then I'm also going to use a faster shutter speed and go over minus one stop. Take a picture. And you'll notice it's underexposed again. Now this scene is a pretty neutral scene. You know, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to bracket something like this, especially since I'm photographing a person. They're going to move it around. But I'm going to use another one of these simulators on this website, and this one's a exposure compensation simulator. And now we're somewhere like the Grand Canyon. You notice the sun is setting. If I take the picture where my light meter tells me, right in the middle, it's going to tell me my picture is properly exposed, but the sky is overexposed or rocks are underexposed. So for this instance is when I would want to underexpose the picture. If I underexpose the picture, it's going to make the sky darker, and I'm going to start silhouetting the foreground, the subject matter here in the picture. That's okay in a lot of instances. You'll see a lot of pictures that do have, silhouetted, somebody silhouetted, or the rocks, or a tree. And so I'm going to put this on minus one stop. I'm going to take another picture, and you'll notice now where my sky is still a little bright, my rocks are dark, but it's giving me a little bit better picture. If I go two stops, now you're going to see what I'm talking about. So this is another way of bracketing. I'm just using exposure compensation. This is something in your camera that you can use. I really would recommend you shooting in manual mode though. If you're shooting in an aperture or shutter priority mode, you can use exposure compensation. It does pretty much the same thing, but I'm using this to show you some of these harder to meter scenes. If I overexpose this shot even more, you're going to notice this picture is not going to be usable. Okay, and I'm going to go to a snow scene now. You'll notice now where this is what our camera sees. Everything is metered in the middle. I'll take a picture, and you'll notice where everything's a little bit underexposed. So my camera thinks that this is an average scene that has a lot of midtones in it. So if I go to -1, and you'll notice where my settings are changing here, it's going to get even darker. So I'm going to go to +1, and now we got something we could use. So I'm hoping this has made some sense to you, why you would bracket and how to bracket. Now, like I said with bracketing, I would shoot manual mode, and I would leave one the same, such as your shutter speed. I would leave the shutter speed at the setting where you get needle in the middle, and this change your aperture, overexpose at one stop, underexpose at one stop. Use this needle in your camera to help you see that. And then you're also going to do the opposite, where you're going to change your settings and look at it again, photograph it. But hopefully this will make some more sense to you as you practice with this more.